for the NFL. If they don't want to abide by the rules of college football, screw it, go to a developmental league. That's kind of a hardline approach, and I don't subscribe to that. But I think the argument is so big, you got to kind of divide it up into parts. Should athletes be better compensated? Should they get a stipend, or should they get full cost of attendance? Should their parents be allowed to travel and see them play? Yes, I think so. There's too much money involved. Coaches make a fortune. They're mercenaries. They hop around and change jobs. So I think that you should let the players, I wouldn't phrase it sharing the benefits of it, because I don't think you can tie their payment to revenues in such a way as, you know, this player makes more because he's at this school where the revenues are higher and this guy doesn't go. I mean, that's not workable. I don't think that's workable at all. But I think you should give them the full cost of attendance, which would mean $500 or $600 a month extra on top of the Pell Grant money that a lot of guys already get. And I think that would be fair. Now, that's not saying open the market and pay them whatever. And that's the problem I have with guys owning their signatures. People pay a lot more for Johnny Manziel than they do my picture, and they should. But you notice I asked Manziel, this will change your life in ways you can't even imagine. Little did he know, a month later he'd be in the room where people would be paying him money to sign stuff, and that would get him in hot water. I know he says he didn't do it, but I didn't sign that for free either, so I mean, it's business. So, should Johnny be allowed to do that? You know, I mean, should A&M be allowed to sell number 2 jerseys? Which they did about 4 minutes after we started doing good things on the football field. Should A&M be allowed to take him around on private planes to pose for photos and sign stuff with the Heisman Trophy? Not the school itself. They say they only did that a handful of times. But I said this on game day. Groups associated with A&M that he couldn't say no to, and his coach couldn't say no to, had Johnny running all over the place in Texas, shaking hands, meeting and greeting, and you know, guys would tell him, "Oh, you sure didn't come cheap, Johnny," after a couple drinks. And so he knew what was going on, and so he felt exploited, and I understand that. But all the smart people in this room, all you smart businessmen, we could solve this right now. If you could raise your hand and tell me a way for this to be workable. Because if you allow a player to sell his autograph, it goes way beyond just the Manziels or the Clownies or a few other guys that may or may not have signed a few things, which you can find on eBay. That's right. I mean, shock of shocks. Johnny wasn't the only guy to do things like that. That's why I think they pulled back too. They knew it was the tip of the iceberg. There was no way to prove it, no way to cover it, and it's just a huge issue. But let's say this booster club for fill-in-the-blank school can now hold legalized autograph sessions. And you throw open this beautiful free market economy that we all love and live with, you throw that open. What's to stop that from serving as funneling cash to players? In other words, this booster loves this guy, this recruit who's a 3-star guard from just up the road. You know, I'm a big enough fan that I'll still pay $1,000 for your autograph. And so will my friends, and we'll do it 2-3 times a year. Now that's legal. And I understand the players want to get, that's legal. How do you avoid that becoming just legalized funneling of cash to players? How are you going to regulate the open market in such a way that where it makes sense? I mean, again, if smart people have other ideas, you can give it to them after they leave, I suppose, if you could regulate it. But I think once a player leaves, he shouldn't be exploited. If Johnny Manziel shouldn't go back to College Station in a few years and see them selling number 2 jerseys. Now that he's out of school, he should, to some degree, whatever is possible, again, I'm a lawyer, own his image and likeness in that way and be compensated once his eligibility is up. I just don't know how to do it now without throwing up the floodgates. And I've asked a bunch of coaches and nobody has really found a way to do it. And imagine if you could make money off your jerseys and your autograph. You think guys wouldn't look at the stats? You think guys wouldn't have something to say to a coach? Why are you throwing the ball to that guy and not to me? You scored touchdowns. They're selling his jersey, not my jersey. Or the right tackle who protects the quarterback's blind side. Hey Johnny, guess who's got your back over here? How about a little something for the effort? I mean, those kind of conversations, they're not that hypothetical. That kind of stuff could happen if guys are allowed to own and sell merchandise and signatures. And I don't know, I mean, that'd be a coaching nightmare. Think about coaching a team where the market just runs rampant and the guy's value is determined by how many touchdowns, how many carries, how many catches. Good luck coaching that group. So I mean, I think that there needs to be more fairness in the system. I just haven't been told a way where it's workable. Yes, sir. How's that for a long answer?
Which you obviously attended as an attendee. Through the course of your entire life, either as calling the game, being on the sidelines of the game, or just being in the audience, what is the most amazing sports moment you've ever experienced?
That's a very good question. Most amazing sports moment, just attending as a fan, you mean? I mean, it's never the same. When you're calling something, your brain is there. You're not drinking a beer, hopefully. I mean, the experience is totally different when you're working for just being a fan. And for me, I would say watching the Olympics, watching teams that I care about. I was a Bulls fan growing up outside of Chicago, so being able to watch Michael Jordan hit shots and win championships was just phenomenal. I mean, a lot of us in this room probably have been excited watching Jordan do something, but I mean, those kind of moments, matches that I've been a fan at, tennis matches that I wasn't calling. When Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer played the final at Wimbledon in 2008, which many consider the greatest match ever, I was just a fan watching it, and through all the rain delays, here comes the dark. It was like Shakespearean or something. All the elements that were coming into play, watching these two guys go back and forth for 4 or 5 hours. And I've seen some other tennis matches too, where it's been that kind of battle. I mean, I'm not going to bore you with tennis, but we're in a golden age in the men's tennis side. And you see how these guys have pushed each other to new limits in the sport. To be a fan and watch that is as amazing as it gets for me. And I will say the skating one was top 5 too. So. Yes.